live. We're there for you. ABC 4 News at 5 starts now.
Good evening, I'm Glenn Mills.
And I'm Courtney Johns. Emily Flores is off tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We begin with a breaking update on a double shooting in Payson. It happened near 500 West Saddlebrook Drive, which is in a neighborhood on the south side of town. This is footage from the scene. Police say they responded to calls of a woman who said she was shot in the leg.
When police arrived, a man called them down to the basement saying he needed help. Police going downstairs and seeing a man holding an armed woman in a bear hug, seemingly restraining her. She moved and ended up shooting herself in the head. Now, at this time, her condition is unknown, but she is reportedly alive. The first woman who called police also in the hospital. We will keep you updated with the very latest information both here on air and online, abc4.com.
And now to a major win for the family of a jailed U.S. Navy officer.
They are set to lose their pay and benefits from their sole breadwinner in their home 1 week from today. We must stop that.
The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Amendments agreed to.
Senator Mike Lee introducing an amendment to keep the Secretary of Defense from stopping pay for Lieutenant Ridge Alconis. Lieutenant Alconis is currently behind bars in Japan for his role in a deadly crash. Today, that amendment passed. And Alconis's wife, Brittany, and his 3 children will no longer have to worry about losing their sole income as Alconis serves 3 years in jail. Brittany and her supporters, like Senator Mike Lee, continue to fight to bring the end to the sentence. They say Ridge crashed after a medical episode from altitude sickness, but the Japanese government says Alconis was negligent behind the wheel, killing 2 people. That being said, Brittany calls this amendment a major win, saying thank you to all the 100 senators. Your continued support has brought us one giant leap closer to justice. Merry Christmas and God bless.
Another vote on Capitol Hill gets the U.S. closer to avoiding a looming government shutdown. The Senate voting in favor of a $1.7 billion spending bill coming after Senator Mike Lee slowed momentum last night. Senator Lee introducing an amendment to the bill that would keep Title 42 in place, preserving pandemic-era border restrictions. This morning, senators voting no on Lee's amendment, but yes on another amendment that blocks funding the end of Title 42. Senator Lee calling this amendment a wolf in sheep's clothing to mislead the American people to believe Dems are doing something to secure our borders. Washington correspondent Raquel Martin reports on the funds this bill frees up if it passes the House.
We have to get out of here as quickly as possible.
With a winter storm racing toward Washington and a government shutdown looming Friday night, senators passed a nearly $1.7 trillion spending package.
Is agreed to.
18 Republicans joined all 50 Democrats to approve the bill.
We know it's not perfect, but it's got a lot of stuff in it, a lot of good stuff.
The range of people it helps is large and deep.
The bill includes $38 billion in disaster recovery funding. It expands health care coverage for veterans exposed to toxic burn pits. It makes summertime food assistance permanent and creates new protections for breastfeeding moms at work. It also includes $45 billion for Ukraine, gives raises to American service members, and updates the Electoral Vote Act to help prevent another January 6th. But the vote didn't come without its share of drama.
I urge everybody to stay in their seats.
And in the end, 29 Republicans voted no.
Enough is enough.
Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul calls the spending reckless.
There hasn't been enough time for a single person to have read this entire bill.
Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi says she hopes to see the bill move quickly through the Democrat-controlled House.
We want people to be able to go home.
Raquel Martin reporting for us tonight. Utah's U.S. senators splitting on the vote. Senator Mitt Romney voting in favor of the funding bill, citing good provisions for the state of Utah, including extending the Bonneville Shoreline Trail to a whopping 280 miles and funding Utah hospitals and military bases. Senator Romney releasing a statement saying this: "I wish the number were smaller, but I am convinced that if we were to reject this budget and kick the can down the road until next year, we would end up having to spend even more."
All right, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Alana Brophy. It has been so windy out the last 24 hours.
Yeah, break from the storms, but really cold temperatures.
Yes, we had the wicked wind, and we start off with some incredible video. This is coming from our resort. This was up near Brighton, and I have to show you because this really puts into perspective those extreme winds at the top of our ridge lines. This is what it looked like last night as the winds were rolling through. 58-mile-per-hour gust clocked in Big Cottonwood Canyon as those folks were up there. Thank you to Katie and Kirsten for sending this our way. But you can see, brutal conditions with dangerous winds and limited visibility. Now, just one canyon over, up at Hidden Peak, the top of Snowbird, a 130-mile-per-hour gust clocked. Chipeta, which is over in the western Uintas, getting 101-mile-per-hour winds. Wild winds, and we knew that would add to the wind chill. 83 miles per hour at Snow Basin. Pall Mall got some serious wind in Park City at 55 miles per hour. Just looking at that Brighton video, I can't even imagine what it would be like standing up there at Hidden Peak. No thank you. All right, low temperatures. We're cold, and then you factor in that wind and create that wind chill. Brutal start to the day. We saw teens and 20s. It was sub-zero in Evanston, 5 in Vernal, and teens and 20s in the central and southern portion of the state. We did warm things up, but not too much. It's only 11 degrees in Cache Valley, 20 in Ogden, 23 in Salt Lake. It's Arctic air gripping the state, 24 in Provo, 51 in St. George. We will see a warming trend, though, as we get through the next couple of days and head towards Christmas weekend. Satellite radar shows us the cloud cover that has increased in northern, central, and southern Utah, and we are picking up some echoes of moisture, but an influx in the southwest desert heading into tonight of cloud cover out there. We're watching the cameras, maybe a sprinkle possible, but our next disturbance for the north, that's coming in. We're going to track it and the impacts coming up in my full forecast in just a few moments. Glenn, Courtney, over to you.
All right, thank you, Alana. And we are also learning more about a heavy police presence. We brought you breaking last night around 10. We now know one man was shot dead there by U.S. Marshals. The Marshals say they went to the home of a fugitive wanted for firearms and drug offenses. That home was over by 42 West and 41st South. We're told 4 people left there peacefully, but a 29-year-old man who had warrants hid in a closet. Marshals say he eventually came out holding a gun, and they shot him.
A cement truck driver accused of killing a Salt Lake County deputy in a deadly crash behind bars tonight. Jones Famasili arrested more than a month after the Lehigh crash that killed Deputy Joel Baker. Police say he was entirely cooperative with the investigation, but they say he ran 2 red lights before T-boning Baker. He now faces charges including manslaughter and reckless driving. Baker leaving behind his wife Valerie and 1-year-old son Grayson.
Now to the housing crunch. Salt Lake City is teaming up with Utah Rent Relief to help Utahns keep a roof over their heads. With the cost of rent soaring, the city is offering rental assistance during the holidays. Those funds can help cover your rent and 3 months worth of energy bills, as well as any rent that's past due. Applications are available right now. So to see if you qualify, just head to rentrelief.utah.gov.
Weber County officials looking to adopt new ordinance to enforce restrictions and rules regarding short-term rentals in the area, something that is a hot issue for residents of the Ogden Valley.
ABC4's Northern Utah correspondent Kate Garner has that story.
It is the first step to get control on STRs.
Ogden Valley residents using the Weber County Commission meeting to voice their concerns about short-term rentals.
If we can nip this in the bud, it will save a lot of work and time in the long run.
Most in attendance oppose STRs.
We have established older neighborhoods that we want to preserve and protect.
Here along Pineview Reservoir, it seems like a new home is being finished every single day. But according to censusreporter.org, more than 40% of buildings in the Ogden Valley sit vacant, and many of those could be STRs.
We have somewhere between 700 to possibly 800 short-term rentals in Ogden Valley alone.
Commissioner Gage Frohr says the county is looking to adopt a new ordinance.
In order to have a vibrant neighborhoods and community with STRs, you have to have enforcement.
The ordinance would restrict STRs to specific areas, as well as make sure owners have a business license, sales tax license, and a point of contact to respond to any complaints.
We see that garbage, that noise, that number of parking spots really contribute to the aggravation of the neighbors when it comes to STRs.
Some residents in the area have STRs already and would be in the restricted areas if passed.
My property will not conflict with the spirit and intent of having those zones. To the east of my property is the Liberty Cemetery, 3 acres. I don't bother my neighbors. They don't bother me.
We need to come up with a compromise so we can try to make as many people happy as possible.
Reporting in Ogden, Kate Garner, ABC4 News.
In southern Utah, police say a 17-year-old attending a school for troubled teens dropped dead last night.
Hurricane police and fire responded after calls that the 17-year-old collapsed. When they got there, they say employees at Diamond Ranch Academy were already doing CPR, but that girl died at the school. Police say she had been sick, but it's unclear what caused her medical episode. This marks the second death of a minor at a Utah school for troubled teens this year. The Department of Health and Human Services finding that Maple Lake Academy in Spanish Fork failed to provide proper medical care to a 16-year-old before they died in January. And a former staffer at a group home in nearby Laverkin is accused of sexually abusing kids. A warrant is now out for 23-year-old Tyler Helbut. Authorities say a teen at that group home says he touched her inappropriately and sent her sexual notes. And police say 2 other girls are reporting similar incidents involving him. He has been fired, and police are working to track him down.
In Iron County, Brian Head Resort says a young skier fell off a lift, taken by ambulance and life flight to the hospital. Now, details are limited, but we know the boy was riding up the Navajo Express lift. This was yesterday around 3 p.m. A woman who claims to be the young boy's mom says the 6-year-old was riding up with an instructor and his siblings during a ski lesson.
In a health alert, a nationwide medicine shortage has parents scrambling to find Tylenol instead of those must-have toys for the holidays. We are seeing so many cases of the flu, RSV, and COVID among children. It's being called the triple-demic. And parents desperate to break their child's fevers, they're running out of options. Senate Democrats are calling on the FDA to investigate and allow imports of drugs like Tylenol and Motrin from other countries.
During other kinds of emergencies, they've done these things in the past.
The White House COVID response coordinator says once peak season winds down, parents will see those shelves fully stocked. In the meantime, they do have a warning for parents. Do not give your child the adult medication unless you have spoken to your pediatrician first.
Nurses with Intermountain Healthcare are bringing cheer to families with babies in the hospital this holiday season.
I love this story. It's so great to see. So nurses in Utah and Idaho are wrapping NICU babies in Christmas stockings to surprise their parents. Take a look at this. Some nurses dressed as Santa and held the baby-filled stockings for Christmas photos like that right there. And the parents are able to keep those stockings as a memento from their time at the hospital. And so far this year, Intermountain hospitals have cared for more than 3,000 babies in their NICUs. Still ahead, a baby in need stuck in a small Alaskan town. How a community stepped up in order to get their rescue plane safely in the air.
And there's that live look at Park City where they picked up snow from the system that moved through and the chill in the air. Well, it's a little brutal, folks. We've got a warming trend, but an active pattern. What you need to know for your Christmas weekend coming up in Utah's most accurate forecast.